looks like
higher.
Paul Bunyan and some like
You're supposed to do the Stephen Colbert thing.
We're
He's shorter,
live.
so. Yeah,
It's Just the Ska Kid!
It's way better. I'm way cozier now.
I'm Jess the Ska Kid. This is Johnny Rotten Paycheck, and you're here at Pella Station Lorino or comfortably sitting on your couch watching us. Thanks for your support. Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for coming and doing
Thanks
this.
for having me.
Awesome.
This is awesome.
Thank you. My hand is cold. I apologize, but so that was amazing. Let's talk about how you come to be. How does Johnny Rotten Paycheck come to be Johnny Rotten Paycheck?
A hard luck son of a hard working man, pretty much.
When did your music career start?
My dad was into country music, like from I was born. There was, my dad was in country band, so there was, our house was always the band practice house, so there was a steel guitar and drums, an upright bass or other bass, lead guitar players. There was always shitloads of instruments in my house in the living room. And his, the guys were really cool. Like his steel guitar player would sit me on his lap and give me the steel and go like, go ahead. It was great. So I picked up any instrument I could mess with, and then everybody sang. My mom sang harmonies to my dad. And eventually she learned how to play bass and sing harmonies to my dad.
Oh.
And my brother played drums, my sister played cornet, my sister Kelly sang. So everybody, it was a musical upbringing. Kind of like being in an art family.
Right.
It's always there.
And so then this, Johnny Rotten Paycheck, is new to me because you just kind of landed back here. So tell us about your worldly travels, my friend.
I was never from here. I'm from the Philadelphia, New York area. And I'm from an hour north of Philadelphia, which you would think would still be kind of like suburban Philly-ish, but
It's hills.
Pennsylvania, it doesn't take more than an hour out of Philly to get to like bling bling bling.
For real.
Put your
I've been there.
Yeah, it gets, like
What you eating for dinner? Possum and coon.
when I was really little, we lived in Quakertown. So okay, William Penn, I believe, was a Quaker, or there was a lot of Quakers. Quaker State, William Penn, that weird hat, like the oatmeal guy. Well, Quakertown was about 45 minutes north of Philadelphia, and when I was really, really teeny, like pre-kindergarten, toddler years, we lived in Quakertown, and my Uncle John lived up the road. We lived in Chalfont, which was like just farms, cows. Like where we lived, there was like bulls and cows and ducks and chickens and one blinking stoplight, one church, one schoolhouse, and one firehouse. And so all there was like, it was kind of country living when I was really little. It was always on the farm, what do you do for fun? We're gonna make necklaces out of horse corn, like that. So.
And then how did you end up leaving and then going, because when very first time I ever saw anything about you was that you were playing Grandview. Lucci's, I think? Lucci's Grandview?
Lucci's Grandview was my first gig. What happened was I came here to look after my daughter because I was out kind of gallivanting around the country. I left Pennsylvania. The bank implosion and all that stuff kind of hit me real hard, and a divorce, and I just kind of I was gone. So I went through Florida, Texas. I ended up in Austin, Texas. I ended up going through rehab, but I was also playing on 6th Street. I was recording, and I was meeting all these great people through the rehab circuit, because everybody in Austin is there either to play or to get clean while they play. So you meet everybody. There was the Skate Nigs was my neighbor. Chris Gates from the Big Boys was my teacher. And that was great. So when I was in Austin, my daughter said, I'm leaving Pennsylvania. Mom's stuff fell apart, so I'm going to go live with my uncle in Wisconsin. I said, good. All right, that I can do. I'll be up there. So I left and I came up here, and I was staying here for a while, and I got her a car. She's turning 16, so I came here to make sure she got a car, she got this, and so I came here to like make sure. I mean, her uncle Joe's cool, and she's safe, and I'm here with her, so I'm here to see her through to figuring out what her trade wants to be and getting through college or what have you. And I said I'll stay here, and I'm cool because everybody else is gone. It's just me and her. I don't really have. There's no problem between me and her other family. So I'm like, I'll be here till you tell me like you're annoying me, and then you can go, and then I'll go.
Where do you think you'd go? Where would be the next place?
A, back down to Austin. B, I started out in Key West. Bingo. Cause I'm just like crazy like that. I can't be in a square town. You know? It's gotta be pretty. You know, you gotta be open with this. You gotta be open with freaky style. You gotta be open with like the Key West was the first time I saw people like just sitting at a bar, sitting with the vapey pens.
Yeah.
I said, what is that? You just sit in the bar and they're like, nobody cares. Yeah, cool.
You gotta be careful now, because those things can have DMT in them. Hey.
I never even thought of that. Wow.
So there was somebody on Facebook who posted the other day, somebody broke into my vehicle. They didn't take any of like the money and important shit in the front. They like stole all of my other things that didn't make sense, and a vape pen. They're like, have fun, because that's DMT.
I didn't know you could put that in a vape pen.
You can now. They're making that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, I'm such an you know, my thing was always alcohol. I did like pot all through high school, and then when I hit 21, I was like, I'm not getting busted for that shit.
I'm not going to jail
because alcohol's legal. And so I stopped for a while. So anytime I was around any younger people, they'd be like, hey, like, you know, my nephews, Uncle Chris, you're trying to set. I'd be like, 2 hits. I'd be like, you know, so that'll happen with a vape pen. Somebody will go like, yeah, all right. Oh, it's because it smells so good. It's like, delicious. And then I'll be like,
floored.
help me to. I love the one, the movie Teddy 2, where she has to help him crawl up the wall to get to like wherever they're going. That's me. I would be like that.
That happens, huh?
Yeah,
so,
the Mark Wahlberg effect.
So when we first started talking, and I was kind of asking like what kind of music you play, and you described yourself as Hellbilly, which I thought was interesting. How about you explain to us the interesting mix of both country and punk, and you know how that comes to be, because they're kind of 2 genres that do fit that no one kind of considers.
Okay, so I was raised with country, and then I went through. My dad, when I was too young to teach guitar, my uncle was about 13-ish. So my dad taught my uncle guitar. And then when my uncle was grown up and I was 13-ish, my uncle taught me more on guitar than my dad could. So the country thread went through there with the family. And with the thing with my uncle, he was like Vietnam era hippie. So it was Dylan and the Byrds and all the, you know, oh shoot, I can't think of his name now. I'm having a brain block.
I haven't mastered telepathy yet.
I know. Anyway, Graham Parsons. So Graham Parsons and Clarence White and all that stuff that came through the Byrds when they went through Sweetheart of the Rodeo era. And then you had Townes Van Zandt and their influence on the Beatles and the Stones and the Byrds. And so I was into that. And then I went through the whole, Hendrix, then the Doors, then Black Sabbath, then I got into heavy metal, then I got into punk rock. And then at the end of punk rock, once the Nazis jumped in, I was like, fuck this shit.
I'm gonna be more punk rock than you.
I was like, wait a minute. So, like anytime going to a punk show is like I want to go to a punk show and have somebody like elbow me in the face or kick me in the face with a boot. Later, done. And they all started sounding the same. Like, so we're all going to sound like circle jerks, right? We're all gonna sound like, let's everybody sound like Gangrene or Suicidal. Judge. So everything was out of E. Just, and that's like, Metallica jumped off that trip, and I was like, exit, just like when I exited heavy metal was like when all my favorite metal bands like the Scorpions and UFO and Kiss and REO Speedwagon and Styx just went, they went sappy. And they went all keyboardy and ballads, and I was like, time to get off that train, because that's all sucky. So I'm always the first rat to jump off the ship. Swear to God, I'm like, ooh, this stinks. I'm gonna get out of here. So somewhere in that process, like, hanging out with my uncle, I played like, we played all kinds of country and rock and this and that and blues, and my uncle was always had his ear to the, college stations. He'd be like, dude, you ever hear Hank the Third? I'm like, who? Like Hank Williams? He's like, yeah. He's like, but it's his grandson. Did you ever hear of Jason and the Scorchers? Well, it's like this scene in Austin where they took punk rock and they married it with the country. And I was like, and then we started listening to like the Long Riders, Jason and the Scorchers, and even Lone Justice and stuff like that. And I was like, and I loved it. I was like, so that kind of got in my blood. And it's always been there. It never left. I have a whole lot of songs that are very punk. I have a whole lot of songs that are very folky, like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. But they all, I don't, it's really hard to distinguish, that's a hellbilly or that's a country punk. Oh, the stuff coming out of Austin in the 80s was even like Charlie Sexton and Steve Earle, stuff that they called it cow punk.
Oh yes, I forget.
Cowpunk. See, that's where it kind of like it stuck to me. So from that, I was like, wow, you can marry punk rock with country.
I think your
And then I was
lyrical
like,
content
wow.
itself is punk. Even if you decided to not have any influence of punk music, I think your ideology is pretty punk rock anyway.
Because it's political.
It goes against the grain. You're a critical thinker, which scares people. Welcome to the Scary People Club.
So it's definitely anti-authoritarian, always. All right, here's a story. I was brought up in a Catholic family. My dad was not holy-ish. He was not a churchy guy, but my mom insisted, because she was Irish, you're going to an Irish Catholic school. Somewhere in about 5th grade, I was in theology class with Sister Monica, and she was talking about Jesus, and she was going through the original, like the red script of what Jesus said. Feed the poor, house the homeless, heal the wounded,
Care for people.
yeah. And I said, and it will multiply the loaves. Everybody share. Kale I needle motherfucker. That kind of shit. And I was like, well, so I said to her, I says, that's like Che Guevara or some shit like that. So in other words, you're saying Jesus is a socialist, Sister Monica. Sister Monica, thank you. And she just went, her fucking habit like exploded. She had a nervous breakdown, meltdown. She ran out of class and pissed her pants on the way out.
Did you get beat for that?
Yeah, all the time. Catholic school is wonderful. Catholics are so hypocritical. Like, turn the other cheek and be peaceful, or I'll fucking kill you. Or I'll beat your ass.
Do you know why? Because God gave us the authority to control.
I remember when I was a kid, they said, you got to put the fear of God in that boy. He doesn't have the fear of God. I did not have the fear of God. Because I was always questioning.
Are you fearful of God now?
I would always go, but why? But why? And they go, we don't have to answer your why. Was Jesus a communist or communal? We're going to beat you and tell you to stop asking that fucking question.
But it's a good question.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, because I think we can all agree. Earth shouldn't cost, and we can all fucking do better if we gave a fuck about each other. Because at the root of things, technically we are animals of the primate nature, which in and of itself means that we are group animals. We thrive off of the benefit of community, and we've gotten too far away from that ideology, which will be the death of us because we've decided to divide things. I'm sorry, I get on the
Jess,
soapbox.
wait, don't leave yet.
I'm not leaving. Where am
You
I
know
going,
You know
man?
who Peter Joseph is, right?
Yes.
All right. So he says, before we had organized farms and a hierarchy and a structure to keep the perimeter guarded of the the crops we were building, so we had to have an army kind of community to keep the outsiders out of the the crops. Before that, when we were hunter gatherers, if I was coming along the road going like, I'm starving, and I met you and you just like plugged a deer or something,
Right.
it'd be like,
Come eat.
all right, like listen, even in the Bible there's an actual clause for thievery, and all the evangelicals, all those southern white motherfucking assholes. Can I say that on this?
Yes.
Anyway, so they all skip all this
Well,
shit.
I don't know. You said white, and I got banned one time.
Anyway, so there's a clause in the Bible. It says if you are going through like the desert and you are alone or with your family and you're starving and you come across a flock of sheep, it is okay to take a sheep per person, only as much as you need.
Yes.
Don't take more, but that person that's the shepherd and that's his flock has to go,
Okay.
all right. Okay. No, not 6, only 5. But we're okay with 5. All right. Do you want a glass of wine? You want some water? Okay, later. So, but there's so much dumb stuff in the Bible because it was written in the Bronze Age and the Stone Age for existing in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Really good rules to live by if you're riding a camel or you're in the desert without water and such as that. None of that translates to European people or American people. So take all that stuff and just throw it out. And that's why in America they kept that out of the Constitution. Take your religious beliefs. You can have them. You're allowed to have them. We want you to have them. Just keep them in your family or keep them quiet or keep them in your church. But once your church and your beliefs start coming into our political specter or the public specter, now you're a political group, so why aren't you taxed? Tax the church and whatever. Anyway.
I believe these things because I think people often forget, and it's because we've chosen and allowed education to go away. We were founded by Puritans. However, all of them agreed, the founding fathers, that there should be a separation of church and state. And it is, I think, a bastardization of history to allow states to write out significant parts of history. A few years ago, Texas had passed through the Supreme Court that they were allowed to write out Thomas Jefferson because he believed in separation of church and state and other sorts of things, which made you critically think and analyze. When people want to argue Constitution and then like throw all this other stuff, you're taking our guns, you're doing this, motherfuckers, no one's going to take your gun. But your gun shouldn't be abused. That was for a militia, for a certain purpose, so that when the government got too large, you were allowed to rebel. What the fuck happened? Y'all got guns, no one's rebelling. Sorry.
Where's all these white Klansmen and Nazis, and how comes they didn't overthrow the government?
They have money, and they run it.
Because the government right now reflects their Klan Nazi beliefs. So all those Klan Nazis that were like, we need Second Amendment rights, we need rifles, and we need like rocket launchers and everything, so we might have to rebel against a tyrannical government. Oh, except for Trump, we like him, so we're on his side, and all that stuff. They never overthrew the government.
No.
Even though it's a tyrannical government, but it's their white tyrannical Nazi government.
It's their
Now,
perspective, so it's perceived as right.
Back to the colonial days, right? Benjamin Franklin, love him. Did he have some house servants? Yeah.
Okay, let's talk, yeah.
All right?
People had slaves. They kind of did those things.
William Penn, like I said, Quaker, that's kind of puritanical Christian, there was Quakers. They were like, they called them Quakers because they were like, the power of God. And they called them Quakers and Shakers.
Yeah.
Because they'd get like all fire and brimstone. but they kept it amongst themselves. They weren't supposed to have like people in the government. Now William Penn, he wasn't like a straight out and out Quaker and all
He was
that.
a closet Quaker.
But
he ate his oats in the dock.
Right. But the thing is, I come from Amish country, and they're very religious, and they're like, we do what we do. We're not trying to make you become an Amish.
No.
We just don't want you to fuck with our Amish.
Yes, that's true.
So we like our Amish. We like our Puritan. We like to wear black and white. We can't wear colors. We can't have zippers. We can't have tools. And we like it like
tools.
that way. Yeah, I know. There's clauses in their Bible that say, well, if it's somebody else's electric tool, you can use it. Or if it's somebody else's vehicle, you can use it as long as you spray paint the chrome flat black. Really weird stuff. But anyway, I mean, the Amish are cool because they're kind of like socialized. They're like, if my barn burns,
we'll help you build one.
We'll help you build one.
Because brotherhood's important.
Right. But the thing about the Amish is they don't try to take their Amish people are not out passing out pamphlets going, you're gonna rot in hell, 666, end of the world. They're not doing that. They don't do that. They're like, we keep our religion in our community, and we're socialized, and we take care of our own. We're not foisting our religion upon you. Just keep your English.
There.
They call it the English, the non-German Protestants. Keep your English and your religion off of my shit, or keep your politics off of my shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's almost like Native Americans. They should have their own little enclave.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you want.
They did, and I think we should get back there, and that's
Yep.
kind of what we're trying to do with this show.
I
Connect everybody with that
Amish.
mentality.
I dig the Amish, and I dig Native Americans, and I think we should all just leave them fucking alone. Stop fucking with them, because they're the key to, like, while all this crazy stuff has been going around them, they've still been going like, we still don't have zippers and we don't care. The Native Americans are like, we're still sewing stuff with beads and we don't care. Your world is technologically insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's technological. You got rockets. In other words, our society has, our technology, we went from the Wright brothers to landing on the moon within 100 years.
I don't know if that's true.
All
I
right.
have to argue
All right.
something.
We went from the Wright brothers to putting rockets into space in 100 years.
We did.
And also rockets to be ICBM missiles,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like taking a tomahawk and making a computerized tomahawk or a technological tomahawk. In other words, all we did was with our technology is go, we need to find a better way to beat people over the head and take their money.
Yes.
So, for all of our technological advancements, we're still just beating the other guy over the head and taking their money, or their oil, or their land.
Mm-hmm.
So, all the technology we have ain't worth shit. And so the Amish and the Native Americans are going, yeah, we were trying to tell you this like fucking 100 years ago.
I've always kind of argued that the idea of, the third world or non-civilized groups, tribal groups as we still call people, they got it right. They understand the earth, they respect it, they take what they need, they give back, they make sure that that community thrives based on what is good for that community. And everybody's gonna have their fucked up shit. Everybody does. But when you talk about actual morality that we have tried to preach to people, the idea of cutting you because it benefits me is not something I can get down with. I'd rather hug you because then you'll feel uncomfortable. And discomfort does two things. It'll either make you run and hide, but subconsciously you will feel guilty about your decision, or you will face yourself and be able to change.
I love you. You're awesome.
Do I get a song too?
Yeah, there probably is one in there, I'm telling you.
Let's talk about your songs.
How about this? Hang on. Before we do, just real quick. I was back in the 5th, 6th grade, talking about Jesus being a socialist. I had a dream. I have dreams that are video, full MGM whatever you call it, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, or
Are you lining it up?
Nah, what was it?
That's MGM, right?
Yeah. Cecil B. DeMille Productions.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say. My dreams are like that. And some of them along my life I remember. And one I remember, I was in the middle of like Arizona with the clay, with the rainbow desert and this, and I was talking to an ancient Indian, ancient Native American, and I says, what happened? How come you guys don't want to go past bow and arrows? He goes, we did. Then they blew it up. It was kind of like a Planet of the Apes moment. He goes, they blew it up, and we realized, we're good with the bow. After the bow and arrow, I get a buffalo. I get to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just maintain.
Even if we can do it, we don't want to.
Right. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So we're good. We'll hold. We'll stick. Said to the poker player, I'll stick. So that was a dream, and I was like, that made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, go ahead.
Your songs. Let's talk about your songs. You have a lot of them.
I got tons.
So where does all that come from?
Pain and heartache.
Oh.
Actual pain and heartache. Okay, all right. Some of them I write from happy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I write from happy.
Oh.
Then there's happy. Then there's heartache. But in the society that we live, in my economic bracket, it's a lot of heartache and economic heartache. Heartache.
But you write about experience, and as people.
I'm old.
People didn't get to hear us talk, but you were like, oh, this is from when I was in this band and doing, goth and this and that. So how many different genres have you played? How many bands have you been in?
Almost all of them.
Yeah? Almost all genres?
A lot.
Have you played ska?
All right, how about this?
That's a good question. Answer the question.
Have I played ska in my 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old bands? We did ska, rockabilly, punk, and new wave.
Oh.
But I was never in a ska band.
Me neither. It's really funny. People are like, you've been in a ska band, right?
No. Oh, you know what's really cool? I was jamming with Amy Crucinelli and Danny Crucinelli, and they were trying out a drummer, and I'm playing bass with their little project that they have for Amy to sing, and they got a new drummer. Yeah, yep. And they got a drummer, and he's like, I'm really into ska. So every time Danny and Amy would talk about the next song they want to do, me and the drummer do.
Who's that?
But the thing was, I can't. Don't ask me to say his name because I'm going to get it wrong.
It's okay.
Anyway, but every time they were doing that, but then I'd say to the guy, I'd say to the drummer, I go, do you remember Selector? He'd go come on.
Come on.
Oh, here's what I couldn't think of when I was talking to my daughter. What was Gwen Stefani's band?
Please don't.
I know, but I couldn't even think of the name. That's how important.
No doubt.
That's how important they were. I couldn't even remember the name of it. All I could come up with was Rancid. Because I couldn't, she's 16, so I was trying to think of newer stuff. Because I said, honey, don't you know who Madness is? She was like, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ha.
She knows Johnny Cash, and she knows the Ramones, and she knows the Sex Pistols and the Clash, because that was where we left off when she was 9.
Okay.
And I stopped listening to anything. I'd stopped listening to new music because what happens if you listen to jazz or classical, it will inform your writing. Mm-hmm. If you listen to Karen Carpenter, that will inform your writing. So if you're listening to ABBA, right? If you're listening to ABBA or Karen Carpenter or Jason Aldean or any of those other country hacked assholes, it'll, even though you don't want it, when you're writing a song, you go like, you're like, dude, did I just,
oh
no,
scratch it out,
no, scratch that out. But I mean, out of the songs that I played tonight, there's songs that have, I did the blues song, the Scorched Earth Blues, right? Mm-hmm. I just started messing around with a blues song, but in that key, in that frame, in that form of music theory, in that construction.
Mhm.
After I did it, it comes to me. Songs usually come to me. I don't ask. I just do it, right?
Okay.
So after I'm done, I'm like, all right, I got Screaming Jay Hawkins. I got Kiss's Rock Bottom or Black Diamond. I got Led Zeppelin something something. And so some of my songs come up like that where I go like, well, that must have been in there somewhere. And I have songs that, like Let's Hear It for the Red, Black, and Blue.
Mm-hmm.
That song is like, after I listened to it, I was like, well, that's AC/DC. And that's the Rolling Stones. And then, but I don't plan it that way. It comes out, but after I listen to it a few times, I'm like, I wear my influences on my sleeve. I can't even help it. But
So when you
if you're gonna steal, and I don't really consciously steal. I don't consciously plagiarize. But I had a rockabilly friend of mine go, if you're gonna steal from the best.
yeah, that's an influence then, not theft. And you're only taking what you need. It's that sheep.
Yeah.
One sheep.
I borrow.
I borrowed.
I borrow.
You helped bring to light. How about that?
Or I reinvigorate.
There you go.
I like to reinvigorate. Okay, I don't know if I did Cherry's Jubilee.
No, you said you had.
Cherry's Jubilee, I was like, dim, 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 diddly, doo, 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 and I heard the Stones redo Long Distance Information. Can you help me, sweet Marie?
Gotcha.
A whole bunch of people do these themes.
Mhm.
And that's why I don't feel like I'm stealing. I'm just reinterpreting. Because I don't invent art. I just reinterpret art.
Ah,
You know what I mean?
I gotcha.
I'm an architect, but I didn't invent house building. I stand on the shoulders of anybody else that's ever made an architectural house that built some stuff. So we're just adding on to the story.
Is this the first time you've done solo stuff?
Yeah. No, well, in Austin, when I hit Austin, I was, all right, I'm nearly homeless.
Oh, what are the parentheses?
Nearly homeless means,
I have a couch sometimes.
yeah. Means I was only outdoors for like a night or so. And I'm walking up 6th Street, which is like, at night, that's all the clubs. I'm walking up 6th Street, and there's this girl in front of this pizza store, and she's wearing a pizza outfit. She gave this guy a hug, and I was hungry, and I was ready to get a pizza. So I'm like, I ordered a pizza, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? She goes like, I'm good, how are you doing? And I said, look, I want a pizza hug too. She says, all right, good.
I want a pizza hug.
And I don't know how we got to talking about why I was there, why she was there, but she was obviously stuck being the pizza stuff, pizza mascot. And I was like, she's like, hey, do you play music, right? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, come and play here every Friday.
Cool.
And I'm like, good. So I had a residency playing there every Friday, and then through the other dudes that I met, I ended up recording. And so, but when I played there every Friday, I played by myself. It wasn't in a pizza parlor, but in the back, there's a bar, and you go upstairs, and there was like an upper deck. And it was unnerving. It took me at least 2 months to figure out, like, they had a hum in the wire because they had a big neon sign, so it was like bzzz, everything I did was bzzz. I was like, let me find. Do you have a clean line that's not attached to like the giant sign in the back that's like neon? And they're like, what are you talking about? I says, well, the neon is humming back through the line. They call it 60 cycle hum, like a fluorescent light.
Mm-hmm.
It'll hum. That will hum through the line anyway. So
Well, you
yeah,
know. Shooting stars are
I could talk forever.
That
You want
that's
to talk
okay.
about unicorns?
No, I've grown out of unicorns, and I always liked what are they called? Unicorn Pegasi? I don't know. They have a special name now on My Little Pony for those things, but those were my things.
When I left rehab in Austin, everybody, in rehab, you're like, you have to accept the things you cannot change.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know how. Anyway, and my deal was like, there is some shit I will not accept, and I will change the things that I cannot accept. So I'd be on Facebook with all my mates that are like quitting, drugs and stuff, and they'd be like, sparkle rainbow fairies and unicorns. And I found this one meme that was like, I don't know if it was a child show, but it was like this guy, and there was like this puppet unicorn, and he was shitting swirly rainbow custard out of his ass. And I would send that to everybody. I was like, dude, just because you quit doing drugs or alcohol doesn't mean that you can go like this to how stupid the world is. So you don't blind yourself with sparkle farting fairy unicorn rainbow
Let's turn to that
shit.
thing, which I think is legal in a few states.
Sparkle farting rainbow unicorns. Yeah.
So for those I want to ask you 2 questions. I know that we're getting close to the top of the hour because I could ask you lots of stuff. But one question for people who...
I didn't do... Oh, she never saw it. I never touched her. Everything you heard is a lie.
Not a cop. Not a cop. See? You can't see?
I like to say that. I said that since I was a kid.
That's why you got beat at Catholic school. They couldn't handle that shit.
I know.
You're making people think and be
She
funny.
never saw it. I never touched her. She was 18. I swear to God.
It was immaculate! Anyway.
It was immaculate. I love that.
So, my 2 questions for you. For people who are tuning in and are like, I don't understand your name.
What are they talking about?
Explain your name, and then I want you to also talk to me about how easy or difficult it is for you to play in this town. Because you would be one human that no one knew anything about, yet you're playing a lot of venues.
All right. It's hard for me to play in my hometown in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I was kind of like my, like if you're a real punk rocker or you're a real radical, like I would scare people in New York, which is really weird. Because it's really hard to freak out people in New York or Philly.
That's true.
And if you can, you're either doing something right or something really wrong. But, I mean, like, we made some noise back in the day. I was in a... Shit. Maybe I can go into it. I was in like heavy socialist movement. I played Brooklyn when I was 16 with my punk band. All black cats. In Flatbush, on Flatbush Avenue, in an old, what was a Italian pizzeria, which was now taken over by black. Almost like, Do the Right Thing, like Danny Aiello's thing. Hey, Mookie, what the fuck, But on the whole, it was like 50 black dudes, and we didn't have our drummer. And so we need a drummer, and this dreadlock kid come up, and he played with us. And, 16, so, like, and, we were scared to death out of people. Even in New York, they were like, and they were really cool because we're all socialists, so they're trying to dig it, but I'm like doing this stuff that's like almost skanky skinish, and they're like, what did he say? Hang on a sec. All right, let's not kill him right now. Let's not kill him right now. I like his bass playing. Maybe we'll kill him later. So, I don't know, what was the original question?
How'd you explain your name?
Johnny Rotten Paycheck. I was raised in country music, and out of all the hippie, dippy, and Hendrix and hard rock, I really like punk rock. And the 2 of them is 3 chords and the truth. No, I was star-spangled sparkle fairy unicorn floated in the breeze. Fuck that shit. I mean, I dig that shit about Hendrix, and I dig that shit about Paul McCartney, but John Lennon was like, dude, Paul, you're gonna do nothing but write stupid love songs, silly love songs? And then Paul McCartney, love songs. So that's, fuck Paul McCartney. I'm a Lennon guy. If you're not gonna say something worthwhile, it's a girl, it's a girl, it's a beer, look what I'm wearing, and I got my car. That stuff says nothing. We speak to real shit. So country and punk takes 3 chords, tells the truth about a story. I hated her, I wanted to kill her, then we got divorced, and now I'm broke. Whatever the story is, it's real. Not like, stars tripping to the universe. Bleh.
So people who watch tonight, besides watching here, is there any way that they can obtain your music anywhere else?
You'd have to hit me up on Johnny Rotten Paycheck, and I did a six song EP in Austin. It never got past rough mix, but I maintain that the rough mix, with me doing all the parts except the fucked up drums, is okay.
I don't know what was fucked up about it. I mean, it's not my art, so I am not critiquing it as hard as you, but I can't say that we're fucked up. You listen, anybody say they were fucked up?
The digital drums was the engineer, he did me a great favor, and we did like 3-4 months of recording. For nothing, because we were trying to keep each other like sober and straight and off drugs, and he went off the rails, and then that's as far as it went. Rough mix. He said, "Oh, yeah, I'll get back on this shit. I'll get back on the beam and I'll remix it. I'll send it to you." And he's still out in the ozone.
Gotcha.
But he did the drum mixes, and he never really finished the drum.
Okay.
It's all digital stuff, like.
So to obtain your music, go to your Facebook page, Johnny Rotten Paycheck, and shoot you a message.
Yeah, get on Messenger.
Okay.
Get on Messenger and go, send me 6 songs, and I just scoot them over.
Is it easy or hard to get gigs in this town? Because you seem to be getting them where other places have not.
I wish I had more. All right, on my income, $100 extra a month would put me into out of the emergency range. I have a 16-year-old daughter. They're expensive. So all my money I give to her, and then I bite my nails for the last 2 weeks of the month going like, God, I'm broke. So $100.
I wish someone would come along with a deer.
One $100, right? One $100 gig a month would be great.
Miss Carpenter wouldn't agree.
One every other week. $100 gig twice a month. I'd be fab.
How?
I wouldn't be living large. I just wouldn't be biting my. Look at them. Look. I know them to the bone.
Where can you go? Can you travel? Are you willing to travel?
The vehicle I have is good for 30. I can get to Racine, and however far that is. It's good for like a half an hour drive. I wouldn't trust it for further than that. Until summer.
I understand it.
All right.
We're
Until
all
summer.
hoping prayers on our vehicles.
Right. Well, the deal is I can't get under it during the winter, so I'm not really willing to chance it.
Gotcha.
Now, once spring comes and it breaks down 10 minutes away, I'll crawl under it and mess with it.
Do you have any merch available?
No.
Do you want to?
I'd love to.
Yeah? What would you have?
The last thing I had was a really beautiful girl I met, and she was an old punk rock girl, and her name was.
You'd have a girl's merch? You pimping people?
No.
Extra $100 a month.
No.
Just kidding.
She had a shop. She sold boots. She started with Doc Martens.
Okay.
And they called her Boot Girl in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And she did patches, the Misfits and this and that, and all the patches. And she did boots, and then she did the shoes and the Hucks and Creepers and all that stuff. She was great. And so like when I did my, before I was Johnny Rotten Paycheck, I was Uncle Dad and the Cross Family Hand-Me-Downs. That was the real country thing.
Ooh.
And before that, it was the red, black, and blue, which means, you know, the Americans working poor, you know, the rich people beat you till you're black and blue, you're red, black, and blue, poor people. So she took that band and she took with the logos, just basically an American flag, and just take out the white and replace it with black. So she outfitted us with embroidered,
That's
you know,
cool.
like almost like Dickies hillbilly rockabilly things with
Oh, that's
American
really cool.
flag. Yeah, she was great at marketing. And so and we had, you know, buttons and stickers, red, black, and blue stickers. We just threw them out all over.
It's cool.
They're all up and down the East Coast in the tri-state area. But I can't do that right now. What I'm doing right now
Oh,
is so organic.
yeah, kind of like this thing.
It's like porch organic. Now picture
Porch organic?
Porch-
Like the tomatoes that you grow
No,
that you're trying
no.
to not share with the squirrels?
No, here's the deal. So, if you're famous, I don't really care. If you got $1 million record, I don't care. I think we're getting to the point, you know how like, how the internet is gonna, the internet and the web and social media is gonna fucking circumvent how the government works. We're not gonna need a government. We're not gonna need a vote like that. We're not gonna need representatives. We're gonna be like, take Mitch McConnell and take them all, Nancy Pelosi, throw them in a fucking blender, get them out.
You're the worst.
And we're gonna go like this. Everybody's gonna have on Labor Day or May Day, we're gonna go to the library or get our phones, take our social security numbers. That's all you need to vote, automatic voting. You don't need a driver's license, an ID. And you go like this. Hi, I'm Chris. Here's my social security number, blah, 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 blah. Here's my vote. And then they're gonna go, do you wanna vote on, like, should we feed the poor or not? Yes, I'd like to feed the poor. And it's gonna be a consensus. It's called singularity. It's gonna happen through the World Wide Web. Because evil can happen through the World Wide Web, and we're gonna kill it. Through people power. All the people are gonna get in the World Wide Web and go like, no, we don't like what you're, screw your corporate shit, screw your government shit, screw that government, no. And how about let's feed people, and how about like tax everybody over 10 million and all that, you know, and you know, shit will happen like that.
The future is now.
Rank and file, blockchain guaranteed, blockchain safe, like they do like with Bitcoin.
Oh,
So rank and file, in other words, if you got a social security number, you're a voter.
Right.
You don't have to go in anywhere. You don't have to show up a week ahead. Sorry black people, or sorry Puerto Rican people, or sorry you were a day late. No, if you got when I was born, we didn't get a social security number. But when I got my first job at 13 years old for the government, they said, yeah, we have government programs for summer school for kids that we take poor kids and we make them paint stripes in the street to save us money. Fucking government had me working at 13 years old. And that's when they gave me a social security number, when they gave me my first paycheck. So, but now, my daughter had hers right when she was
at
born.
birth, yep.
Everybody does, right? Everybody's got a social security number. If you have a social security number, you're American. Were you not?
Or you're
You were
allowed to
born-
legally earn, tender, and pay taxes.
And you were born here, you have a social security number, and you're an American. So you automatically
Vote.
auto vote. You don't have to wait till you go driver vote or drive through driver vote. That's some democratic stupid shit. Some Democrat
It's
would.
a power struggle.
They
It's like
tried,
slavery, but
they
with
tried-
extra steps.
They tried to make it really cool. Driver voter, driver voter. How about when you're born, you got a social security number, so you're already a voter.
That's
So
true.
all you got to do is show up at a computer at a library, or if you got a good phone, computer on your phone, and go, here's my social security. What is it? 7 digits. Beep 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 beep. Here's my name. Beep 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 beep.
9, 8, 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7,
6, 7, 8, 9.
7, 8. You're right.
That's 9.
All right. So
Math.
you show up with your 9 digits and your real name and maybe like what was your mom's name or what town when you're born in.
Right.
And
But if
you don't have to.
positively can't
You don't
do
have to. Hang on. You don't have to come in with. We want to see your original paper birth certificate, not a copy. And we want a social security card and your driver ID or a photo ID, blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. That's like trying to keep people from voting. It's so stupid. Oh my God, I can kill people. So, anyway.
We're not advocating murder.
No. I just,
Just take one sheep.
So anyway, you got all that, you're a voter. So then you get on the computer and they go like, here's the issues for today. Should we feed the poor? Not feed the poor. Should we turn the heat up in building number 4 or not? And you go like, yes, no. And everybody rank and file, whether it's at the library, even homeless people
Could vote.
can get to the library.
Mm-hmm.
Most homeless people that I've ever met
Or at the
have
library.
smartphones too,
Mm-hmm.
because their life depends on them having a smartphone. Holy shit, somebody's ready to kill me. I'm homeless, nobody else cares. Here's my smartphone, here's my ID, here's my GPS. I'm at the river, oh my God, so.
You texted So my friend, we're at the top of the hour. And if
Crazy.
people want your music, go to Johnny Rotten Paycheck, shoot him a message on Facebook, and
Go on
he will give you
Facebook.
six songs. This has been a pleasure, sir. Do you have any upcoming events? One. Otherwise, I'm going to slap you.
I actually don't.
No? This was it?
This was it. In
Oh.
fact, the thing is, it's winter and the truck is, I'm going to put it in the old garage and tweak on it.
Gotcha. It's
Yeah.
kind of hibernate for...
Well, my roommate's got a nice Suburban, so if I need to get to the store,
Mm-hmm.
he'll give me a ride.
So if you want to hear him play, he wouldn't say no to you if it's in the surrounding area.
If anybody's got a gig, if you got a pub or something, even if you don't have, it's usually $100 per man per night. And if you can't do that, you're sad. But, and I don't want to make exceptions, but I will because I need dough because I got to fix the truck. If you let me put out a potato chip bucket or whatever you call it, pretzel bucket, I did that in the last
Cheese
gig
puffs. Cheese puff bucket.
Last gig I played in New York was a pretzel bucket. There was 13 people in the house, including Tommy Conwell from the Young Street, whatever, Rumblers from Philly. 13 people. I got $13 to pay my gas to get back to Pennsylvania.
Living his
Sometimes it's like that. Living the dream. Thank you, Donald Trump, for letting everybody know how bad America sucks, how bad the American political system sucks, how fucking cheesy and worthless the voting sucks, all the holes in the Constitution, all the bylaws and switchy shit. Screw that. Thanks, Donald Trump, for letting everybody know. Donald Trump said, hey, everybody that's an asshole, racist pig, raise your hands. And they did. So now we know who they are.
So we can change things.
So we can change things. Don't go beat them in the face.
Give hugs.
And beat them in the face.
Give hugs.
With hugs.
Give hugs. Like
But-
the pizza hug.
But know that those are the assholes that hijacked your government. A small minority that calls themselves the moral majority, which they're not. They're not neither. They're Nazi clans. They're assholes.
And if you want
Boom.
more, you can message him. We're done, man. This has been Johnny Rotten Paycheck. We'll see you next week with Blanco Nino. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Come on and listen again.